Electronic payment transactions hit 123.8 trillion in the first 3 months of 2023 as a result of Naira redesign policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria. NIPS instant payments set the record as a transaction value of 123.8 trillion naira reported in the first quarter of 2023, a 44.6% increase from 85.6 trillion naira reported in 2022. Data from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement Scheme shows that the industry data reported a surge of volume of 2.5 billion. This is by far the highest 3 months volume of NIPS transactions reported in the last 11 years. Now, when the CBN implemented its cashless policy, let's understand the payment system, the challenges, and how, of course, we can do better. And I'm being joined by no other person, by the MD, CEO of Dignity Finance and Investment Limited. He's also a top member of Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chijoke Ikechukwu. Dr. Ikechukwu, it's good to have you live discuss this topic.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to look.
Let's go down memory lane and think about how we fared with regards to electronic payments in Nigeria and see where we are, of course, where we could be. Many would always cite very quickly M-Pesa in Kenya, how well it is faring. But where are we in Nigeria with all of the efforts by the Apex Bank?
Yeah, without mincing words, this country Nigeria has done so well in payment systems compared to every other country in the world. We should be one of the top 5 in the world. And I can tell you with every sense of knowledge and every sense of ability to know that we are one of the top 5. If you remember where we've been coming from, there was a time payment system used to be through exchange of goods for goods, trade by barter, until we started using some kinds of cowrie shells to be able to make payments, until we got into coins and notes, as the case may be. Coming from all the way to when we used to use checks actually started happening. We could make payments using check. And of course, at that time, even up to the 80s, and up to the 80s and sometime early part of 90s, we were still making payments in up country. We used to call it up country checks. Would last for about 21 days for clearing. So if you had any payments to make to somebody outside of your city, you have to wait the person has to wait for 21 days to get value for that particular money. And that happened for such a long time until, it started reducing to 15 days up-country clearing, until 5 days, until today you can get almost the same day clearing. NIPS came on hand to be able to solve this problem where banks can connect themselves using that platform they have provided. So I will always say that one of the best things that happened to this country was the establishment of NIPS and associated services they render. Of course, we started experiencing card transactions, and there used to be a time Value Card came into the country. I don't know what happened to Value Card again. Before we started having some of the VF Card and Visa and MasterCard that actually both debit and credit cards. So that's the evolution we've had. Of course, even when we used to have up-country payments, just know that there was a time if you had an account with a particular bank, even if you go to the next bank on the same street of that same bank, you won't be able to have access to your money. Then there was no online real time. So, of course, that started sometime in 1991, 91, 92, when online real time became part of banking, where you could go to other branches of the same bank where you have your account domiciled, and then you can have access to your account. So these are the developments we've had until today, that we have a lot of payment systems, that are all over the place. The fact that you can make payment from your phone to another account in another bank, and the person receives alert, you receive alert, debit alert, the person receives credit alert. We don't have this happening in many countries of the world. That's why I say we are just one of the top 5. So we have integrated everybody in payment system, individuals, local business people in all the various localities can actually have access to their funds and make payments using their own platforms. This is just one thing we can be proud of in this country, to say we can beat our chest to say we have done well. Indeed, Nigeria has done well, CBN has done well in creating this. And of course, the payment system companies that are all over the place, we have a good number of them doing so well and making sure that it comes so seamlessly to us. So I think we have done well so far.
Now, of course, all of these comes with challenges. I'd like to ask you that, what are the most effective strategies first in helping push that drive in promoting digital payments across a country like Nigeria? What are the strategies that you think should be used? Because some people are still yet to embrace this new initiative.
Yeah, not everybody has the wherewithal to have the kind of funds that can do these transactions. But again, in fact, the thing has even been made simple that for Nigerians who don't have those kind of platforms and phones, you can actually still do the same thing.
I know, Dr. Ikechukwu, we should have you back. It's just a very important comment from him there with regards to what can be done and strategies that can be used to promote the implementation of digital payment systems across the country. You were making a point as to what are the strategies that can be done or implemented to increase the adoption of digital technology across the financial space.
Yes, thank you very much for having me back. You see, once we take the device away from phone and create some other devices that probably people can wear as bangles or anywhere on the body, you see that everybody can have access to this service. Right now, we still have a percentage of our population who cannot afford certain phones and phones generally, and so who cannot really deal with it. But once we create any other device different from phones where people can make a payment from, that will actually create more inclusiveness of everybody to the payment system. While that is going on, we need to improve on the time it takes us to resolve payments that don't get to their destination, that don't get to their beneficiaries. You see that a lot of people have many payments hanging here and there that have not been reversed. Many times, if you don't have the time to go to your bank to resolve this, it will just hang there forever. Personally, I have a lot of payments that are hanging because I haven't had time to go to the bank. They cannot be resolved, and they are still not being resolved. So the fact that I have to wait for 2 weeks or after going to my bank is not a good system. We need to have a system where once there is any transaction that is not delivering, within the next few minutes and seconds, it should be reversed so that the beneficiary will know transaction has not taken place. The owner of the account, whose account has been debited, will also know that that didn't happen. So until we get that, we cannot say it's yet uhuru for us in payment systems. So we need to have a way of resolving payments that have not gotten to their destinations, even after debiting the payer. That is a major issue and a major problem we're having currently.
Great stuff. Now, with what we've seen during the cash crunch, the Naira redesign thing, all of the challenges that we faced, many will talk about high volume transactions and how the banks can manage it. What more do you think these banks need to do to accommodate more of these transactions? I'm sure you experienced that during that season.
That's right. That's right. Okay. We obviously all observed the fact that when the Naira redesign happened and there was scarcity of these Naira notes all over the place. The banks, their capacities to deliver such volumes and deal with a lot of volumes of payments online, that capacity was challenged and exposed. It was then we realized that most of the banks didn't have the capacity to carry the number of customers and the number of transactions that we will have to pass through them. So what we need the banks to do is just to be more robust about their capacity, their IT infrastructure. The infrastructure has to be more robust to be able to take any number of people that want to do such transactions. Because they never expected that such number of people will have to sign in at the same time. And so that made payment system very lousy within that period. So people were frustrated because they couldn't have access to funds, to Naira. They were also frustrated because they couldn't make their payments through online system. And the frustration was so heavy. But of course, I know that has been gradually resolved. So this period is a period for all the banks to go back to their infrastructural capacities to know that they need to actually do more and expand the capacity of their infrastructure in order for them to take this kind of challenge.
Let's now look at role of maybe government, regulators, and all of that in ensuring that we have a perfect payment system. Of course, a robust and reliable one. What do you think is their role?
The role of government is the fact that they have to, of course, government does a lot of licensing, and the government, if we talk about government, we mean the government agencies, including the CBN. They have to ensure that we don't have people who do payment systems that are not registered, because we have a myriad of a good number of such payment systems that probably have not been registered and are making payment systems what it is. There are a lot of lenders in the system that are not registered with the government, the regulatory bodies, and so issues are coming up from all those areas where people have either borrowed money and cannot pay back, or are paying back and not getting the right results they want. So government has to ensure that licensing and regulatory platforms, regulatory wherewithal must be in place to ensure that only very registered and qualified institutions with enough capacity should get into payment system platform. That will help the system to actually grow more.
Security, bridging, building that brick wall against fraud and security is also very important. Doc, what do you want to say about that as we wrap up?
Obviously, we have had cases of hacking into some systems. We have had cases of people whose monies have been taken from their accounts. And of course, in such situations, the bank will always say that you actually, you were careless with your PIN and things like that. While in the actual case, that wasn't actually what happened. When the banks do not have a new, a very strong encrypted system, you can be sure that people can easily hack into these things and have access to people's funds. So far, we have not achieved that mileage to the extent that we can say it is watertight. Banks need to do a lot. And of course, customers of these institutions, of these banks, should also ensure that they don't continue to expose their PINs and their cards to third parties, because today you may expose, today the person may have to use it tomorrow, as the case may be. And even if that does not happen, you see that a lot of hackers are having a field day hacking into the accounts of banks and into the accounts of customers. So we need to invest so much also on the security of these platforms if we have to really go far with them.
I must thank you so much, Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu. It's really good to see you this Monday afternoon. Chief Executive Officer, Managing Director, Dignity Finance and Investment Limited. Do have a profitable week.
Thank you very much, Tolu. It's always my pleasure. Thank you.